Oh, hello, Julie.
Oh, hello, Jeremy.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm great. We started our coffee chat, our first couple minutes talking about the news, current events, current affairs, politics. And then the music just makes you a bit more upbeat. It changes the pace of what we do.
Thank God.
and the pivot and transformation of going and talking about just things that we can't control to the things that we can control as mentors and leaders in the space. And so with that said, I have the pleasure of knowing you, Julie. Why don't you tell us a little bit, who am I talking with? Who are you? Who am I speaking with?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out for a lot of decades. So I am Julie Ginches. I think as a person, I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a fiercely loyal friend, and above all, I am a passionate dog mom. So I love doing dog rescue. And professionally, as you know, because we've known each other a really long time, I have been for better or worse, a serial chief marketing officer in ad tech. And I have
for better, for sure. You've done some cool things.
I have done some cool things.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of years, and I'm blessed to be at the stage of my career now that I said, never again will I ever be a CMO again. So I am in charge of my own destiny, which we talked about earlier. And I advise companies now. So it's been really wonderful being an advisor to some amazing CEOs. And then I have Purple Door, which is the agency I always wished I could hire. We're just a marketing and PR consultancy. We're all senior teams. And we basically pick and choose amazing clients to work with. So I have that cliche work-life balance, if you believe it or not, but I do.
But so you have found that work-life balance, but you worked your ass off for many, many years.
Yes.
Being a CMO at a lot of great, productive, well-respected companies within the advertising and technology space. So there's something to be said about that. But Tell us a little bit about your journey going from CMO to creating your own business to finding that balance, and also just as a mom, as a dog mom, just being able to balance everything holistically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I used to say life is a three-legged stool. So there's work, there's family, and there's self. And I will say, having worked all those years in ad tech, there was never self. There truly wasn't. So I think at this phase of my career, having worked with, as you said, so many amazing companies, so many amazing teams. I mean, I've been so thrilled at the teams I've been able to manage throughout those decades. But then you get to the point where you realize it really is about self. We were talking about it kind of off the cuff early too. It starts with self. And I am at that point now where I do get to pick and choose who I work with, what I do, and how I spend my time. And it's just, I feel very, very blessed.
That's amazing. We were before we hit record, we were talking specifically about the balance in my world of balancing two fast-paced startups that work as strategic partners, but both have great missions. But and we're talking about how I do it and how you've done it in the past. And your reminder to me was self-care. Take a minute for yourself. And so I appreciated you saying that. And it really is important guidance that I want to be able to echo to everyone listening and watching this, because you said that to me behind the scenes. And I need that. I need to hear that from other people, and as do most. When you look at marketing through the lens of a CEO, a CMO, what's one thing that most organizations tend to just get wrong about the role of marketing? Not necessarily from a CMO's perspective, but advising so many different CEOs and founders that they just don't necessarily think about when it comes to marketing.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I have found that a lot of CEOs, I won't say undervalue marketing, don't understand marketing. To me, marketing is the glue that stitches the C-suite together. It should be the first in and the last to go. And honestly, from what I've seen in my career, marketing is always the last strategic hire. And when there's budget cuts, it's the first to go. And really, marketing to me it's the eyes, the ears, the voice, the soul of a company. So I think that's where a lot of CEOs get it wrong.
Who has influenced your leadership philosophy? You've had a handful of different chapters throughout your career, gone through different seasons. What are some lessons that you've learned from the mentors that have made the biggest impact on you?
So as we know, I think when we work and we have careers, it's competitive, right? Where most people are career climbing, and it's not pleasant. So what I learned early on from a gentleman who mentored me was always give. No matter what you do in your life and your career, just give. Give and give and give till it hurts. Never say no. And maybe one times out of 100, it may come back to you when you need it, but don't expect it. So whether it's been mentoring teams under me, supporting colleagues, or even making you CEO, just always make that person do the work to give them the credit. Don't look to take the credit.
I love that. So the specific gentleman, the mentor that said that, want to give him a shout?
Yeah, actually his name was Peter Schmidt.
Okay.
And I think he's running like an MS nonprofit at this point, and has an aviation software company as well. He was just a truly smart, grounded man. And I'm going to have to ask him, like, gee, whatever made you so smart? Because you really influenced me over the decades.
And doesn't it just feel good to be able to shout it out and say it out loud? The fact of it's like a pay it forward, and just, it makes Peter probably feel good when he hears this, and others that you've that have mentored you and you've mentored along the way. What do you do to stay emotionally resilient and just keep your teams inspired throughout your career?
So I think I've learned a lot of lessons throughout all these decades. So never look back. The past is your rearview mirror. That's why when you're driving a car, it says objects appear larger than what they really are. Like, you can't.
You're
change.
so right.
Yes, no, it's true.
You're so right. Yeah.
It can seem daunting, so don't look back. It's the past, it's concrete, and you cannot change it. Worrying about tomorrow, you can't do that either, especially going back to our conversation before the call. We don't know if we have tomorrow. None of us do. So worrying about tomorrow doesn't really do any good either. So it really is. So I practice mindfulness. I have for a long time. I learned to be an instructor, and I used to teach it at one point. But it's really being grounded in the moment. The only thing you can count on is this moment I have with you right now. Like, this is what's real. This is what we have. So let's just make it great, because we don't know what else.
I love that you're saying this, and it's maximizing each minute, but also just being in the present, like truly paying attention to this conversation, not multitasking, doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different things at once. And being able to, when we were talking before we hit record, just like you can't control the future, you can't control world events, you can't control what's taking place. But the one thing you can control is yourself and how you help others feel and identify with their emotions and help them rise up to the occasion. And that's true leadership. And when you talked about the mindfulness component, can you give us a little bit more of a lens into how you focus on mindfulness?
Yeah, it really has to do with breathing. We all have monkey brains. Like you said, we're doing 1,000 things all the time. We're worried about tomorrow. You're worried about the call that you have at the end of this podcast. Like, our minds are monkey brains. But really, if you can just focus on the breath, breathing in and breathing out, and clearing all the clutter out of your brain, you truly are present. Like, I'm looking at you and I'm listening. I would prefer to listen than speak. But people really, the art of listening is just, it's lost. A lot of people don't know how to just sit back and listen.
I entirely agree with you on that. I forget at times to stop and just like breathe. So as you were talking about breathing, I was being conscious and breathing through my nose, in through my nose, out through my mouth. And also when it comes to just thinking about what's next. When I was younger, I would get really anxious about, like, oh my God, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with that? And then when I realized that things were completely out of my control, and the only thing I could control was like, okay,
your mind.
This is what I'm focusing on right now. And the next, who knows if I'm going to be alive tomorrow? Who knows if you're going to, like, all of us. And then when you experience peaks and valleys of health, of things that are of just natural disaster, just anything in general, it reminds you like that there are things that are bigger than each and one of us. And I think that helps go to the next area of topics when it comes to just the industry of advertising, marketing, technology. The industry is plural, not just one industry, but advertising, marketing, and tech. In your opinion, what's something that's underhyped and overhyped?
That's an easy one. That's a layup. AI.
Underhyped or overhyped?
Both. I mean,
I agree.
It's an amazing collaborative tool. I think a lot of people are misusing it. It's one of my pet peeves. I start now with old-fashioned paper and pencil because I was overusing AI, as I think a lot of people were.
I hear you right here.
I love it. See?
Yep.
But it's grounding to hold a pen, to think, to write, even detaching from the computer. And then sure, use it if you're missing a word, or there are obviously tasks that you can automate, but be collaborative, have checks and balances, have guardrails. Let it truly be authentic, whatever it is you're creating. So yes, it can increase efficiencies by leaps and bounds, but it has to be collaborative and controlled and thoughtful.
Well said. And because marketing has a lot to do with storytelling and presentation and brand and attracting, maintaining customers, when you think through in your career, and here you've worked at some great legacy technology companies, like we had AI back then. It's just that's what's crazy to me. Legitimately, 15 plus years ago, there was machine learning, there was artificial intelligence. It's just that it has become more mainstream, where others now understand how to use it from a commercial perspective, and consumers now all have access. Yeah, it's how do you balance adoption with maintaining creativity?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to the paper and pen that we just held out. Instead of I used to go to Chat or any of the other wonderful AI tools and let it be my starter, like dump it all in and let it start the thinking. Now it's really, I think we have to go back to the human authenticity of our own thoughts. And then after you've created something, again, maybe use it to refine it a little bit. Again, I love when it's like, I need another word for X, Y, and Z.
I do that all the time.
But little things, I really think we have to keep our soul and our brain and the people who we are, like you said about like storytelling. AI knows what it's scraped from the past. So if you want to be creative and tell a story that emotionally resonates, you have to think about something that hasn't been done before. And only you can do that as a person.
So when you're advising founders, CEOs, CMOs, how do you help them envision and work on thought leadership as a growth engine in general?
Yeah. So that's interesting, because I think a lot of people think of thought leadership as a content asset, and it feeds top of funnel. And then again, I'm going to put my marketing geek hat on for like all the content that for every stage of the funnel. However, thought leadership is not content. I really believe that thought leadership is context. So and I work with some amazing CEOs, and I have in the past too. It's who are you and what is your unique vantage point, and why is it important that what you're going to say and market is different and valuable? And that's thought leadership, context, not content.
I really like that. The context, not content. That's a really good way to phrase the simplicity of it. I think a lot of people overlook that.
I'm a marketer. I make everything sound simple.
That's the beauty of marketing, like the simplicity of something that others find way too hard or complicated. So good job on that one for sure. If you had to name a decision that accelerated your career, or just a life transformation that helped you in general, outside of breathing through your nose and out of your mouth, what would it be?
So I think when I made a very bold decision, it was actually a Rubicon project and Frank Adante to convince me to leave the East Coast. I love Boston, but Boston is very sophomoric. We all know each other. We've all worked together for years, and it was fairly limiting in all aspects of the career. So Frank convinced me to basically, I won't say leave my family, but relocate to the West Coast. And I would commute back and forth on weekends to see my family, which from California, as you know, is not
It's a long trip.
an easy flight. Or my family would come out and stay. But I think it was really that Silicon Valley is very different. I think the passion, the innovation, I just learned so much. And I kept working at companies in the Valley. But I think that decision to say, okay, to Frank, really changed everything and put my career into an amazing trajectory.
How many years did you do that for? Did you do the bi-coastal back and forth?
Yeah, because if Rubicon wasn't the only company there was, so I was always commuting either to New York, which was easy, but for the most part, Palo Alto, San Francisco, LA. And I really met some amazing people and learned a lot in the Valley. And
when you were doing that, what were the ages of your kids? I asked that purely as someone who had that. So about a decade ago, when my kids were much, much, much younger, literally an infant, newborn infant, and then also at the time, let's say a 3-year-old. So my kids are 2 years, 10 months apart. I went through that, and I decided to stay Chicago based. But would love to hear, just because I flirted with it, and I've worked at both Bay Area companies for a while, and I've worked at New York-based companies, and now I'm building 2 different companies that, So I want to hear your 2 cents on this. Yeah, it was tough. My son was, I want to say high school age. He also wanted West Coast. He had dreams of West Coast living. I mean, I think each coast always envies the other's lifestyle and thinks it's a beauty being in the middle.
So he was going to come with me. We had looked at schools, and lo and behold, there was a girl back here on the East Coast that made him change his mind. So hence we didn't end up all moving there, and I did the commute for quite a few years. Got it. Knowing what you know at this stage in your career and the impact that you've made on so many different teams, what advice would you give both to your younger self and to those listening, to those watching, that still have some chapters ahead? Especially for the young folks, because I think we're so career. Well, I'm hoping they're not actually. I hope this millennial generation, but we were so career oriented, and I think they have a different set of values, which is probably the right ones. Figure out what you're good at. It's called, you know what Ikigai is? I've heard the phrase, but go deeper. Just remind me. Ikigai. It's figuring out what you're good at, being really good at it, being able to make money at it. So it's really stitching everything together so that you're fulfilled. And I only know 2 people actually in my lifetime that I believe have found their Ikigai, that they are actually living their passion and their purpose. They're good at it, and they found a way to actually be paid for it. So for, I think, the young ones, figure it out, decide what it is and who you want to be, and then go out and close your eyes and jump. Don't be afraid, because a job is just a job. Companies have no soul. They don't. So be independent. Yeah, be independent. Figure it out. I'm really pro entrepreneurship. Like you said, you're juggling 2. I have my dream business right now. I'm in control of it. I think entrepreneurship is undervalued because it's scary, but I think it's so much more fulfilling. I couldn't agree more. So with that said, Julie, we really appreciate you hopping on the OhHello pod. This was really valuable insights and guidance that you've provided. Thank you for also being part of our community. Thank you for being on the platform. We really appreciate it. And thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, for everything that all the opportunities you've given me, and for this relationship and friendship. You bet. Agreed on both levels. Thank you, Julie. Thanks, everybody. Until the next one. Alrighty. Bye.